Welcome back, friends. Zach here, full-time online reseller, and it's a busy day for me as I'm going to be traveling south towards Roswell, New Mexico today. My daughter kicks off her competitive gymnastics season this weekend, so I got some traveling to do to go cheer her on. Hopefully she does good. But first and beforehand, I'm going to be doing some thrifting along the way. And so this morning, I'm going to be hitting a bunch of thrift stores in Albuquerque, New Mexico, make my little loop down there, see what I can't find to buy and resell online. So if you're into watching thrifting videos or just like to see people like me source, follow along and I'll share with you everything I come up with. First stop of the day, Bernalillo Goodwill. I'm gonna keep this short. Now, traditionally I haven't done great at this store, but hopefully I'll be not breaking bad and breaking into some good deals as I make my way into Albuquerque. This store was just right off the beaten path, so I figured I should stop. What the heck? Let's see what we can find. So my mindset always has to shift a little bit when I thrift out of town. The brands and items I would consistently find in my own area are not here in the big city. So I don't find as much Gorp, I don't find as much work utility, I don't find as much Western wear. And those are things that I sell regularly, but I do still come across some of the brands I'm used to finding. And wouldn't you know, here's my girl. Miss Me jeans. They are capris, but the price was there. So I went ahead and grabbed them. Miss Me, she's never done me wrong. Here's some Empire corduroy cargo pants. I've sold these before, and the fact that they are cargos just makes them worth a little bit more money. The skaters like them, the grunge scene, they're baggy, they're wide leg, and for $5 and some change, I couldn't pass them. Should be good for about 25, 26 bucks. Albuquerque's home to a lot of golf courses, so the thrift stores tend to have a lot of polo shirts. And I'm coming up on one here in a minute. I kind of wish I would have grabbed. This Tiger Woods Nike golf polo was a huge size, which helps sell it. The price was there, probably only good for about 20 bucks. Should have grabbed. Scanned over the purse aisle for that Louis Vuitton, but it just wasn't there. So went ahead and scooped up the Empire corduroy cargo pants as well as the Miss Me capris. I'll put the Miss Me's in my spring death pile, and then I'll get these Empires listed. This store never is good but for a couple items, but I'm gonna go ahead and get down the road and see how many more stores I can cover in about 4 or 5 hours time. All right, we're at the Goodwill off Holly Avenue, Northeast Heights. Love me some LL Bean outerwear. This guy had a lot going for it. It was large, it was tall, wasn't crazy about the color, and wasn't crazy about that price, so it stayed. Digging through some goods and then found this bad boy. Definitely had to pay up for it, but these down-filled North Face vests sell. Here's an underrated and not known about Gorp brand, and unless you're a mountain goat, you probably don't know about Stio. So I did pass on the polo shirts, but you best believe for 6 and some change, I did pick up this flannel. It was pearl snap, beautiful colorway. Some guy out there is going to pay me a premium. Look for Stio, made in America. Lululemon has to be the most obscure logo in the world. For some reason, I was having a hard time zooming in on it, but there it is. It's that Omega sign. It is a performance Henley, but it is not worth $13.49. I went ahead and checked the comps on it. This shirt was just not selling for a whole lot of money, so skipped it. And then it was a tough decision on this LL Bean jacket, but I passed on it. It was just too priced up. I got 2 business partners. One's Carhartt, the other is Area, and you best believe for $8.49 I picked up these flame-resistant work utility jeans. These are a staple in my store. They sell like hotcakes. Don't pass on just about anything Area. It just sells. I always got to look at the toys. It keeps me young, and I suggest you do the same. Trust me. Did pretty good inside of the Goodwill in the Northeast Heights off Holly Avenue. Picked up these FR Area low-rise bootcut thick stitch jeans, $8.49. Generally I can sell these pretty close to 30 bucks. These are in really good shape, so glad to pick them up for $8 because they're about $10 where I live. Now, this is a brand that you may not be familiar with. This is made in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. This is Stio, so keep an eye out for it. They did have those polos, as I showed you, but the sell-through rate on their polos wasn't good, so look for their upgraded lines, and this Pearl Snap was that. Super pretty shirt for $6.49. I bet I can probably get $25-30 for it. And then paid up on this one, and not the greatest color, but in a great size. Does have goose down, paid 15 and some change for it. Probably should be able to get $50-60 for this guy. 2 stops down, I got 5 items, paid $44 and some change thus far. So happy about what I have came across. Generally, when I thrift in the big city, regardless of where it's at, if I'm hitting a volume of stores or a number of stores, I just want to be sure that I'm pulling at least 2 to 3 items at each stop. Generally, I like to take more time, but when I'm trying to go through a whole bunch of different stops, I really try to power through and hustle and just go to the racks that are the most important. So if you're in a big city and maybe you're just traveling, the beauty behind reselling is you can do that. You can do a little bit of hustling anywhere you go. And I kind of love that about my job. Anywhere I'm traveling, anywhere I'm at, I can pop in, I can find a thrift store, I can find a garage sale, and I can always squeeze in a little bit of work whether I want or not. So boogied up here to the Goodwill off of Montgomery and Tramway. Now, this is actually my personal favorite Goodwill in Albuquerque. It's a big store, it's nice, it's newer, and I have found some bangers in here. I will, however, say that the last time I sourced from here, I didn't find a whole lot, but I did catch this place just about an hour and a half after it's opened, so I'm hoping to do good. My own goal is to hopefully at least source 5 items from this store, so let's go see if we can make that happen.
Cross paths with this Eddie Bauer Goose Down puffer, but they just had too much on it. Had to walk. I've sold this jacket before, but when I seen the price and then the condition, I had to walk on this one too. Iron and resin menswear can fetch a pretty nice profit, so I was willing to pay up for this shirt, and it's a brand that's made in the USA, which a lot of guys like, but I got to the cashier and it had a hole in the sleeve. Darn it, I just can't win. Finally found one to drape over the shoulder. Wrangler 20X, staple in my store. Love selling those Western jeans. Did have to pay up on these. Typically sell for about $25 to $30. Grabbed them. I was super stoked to find another iron and resin piece. These were dark wash men's overalls, but when I got to the price tag, I realized there just wasn't enough meat on the bone. Had to leave them. Quick little run through of the electronics aisle. You never know what you might just find, but I did find this, so it's time to shout out my oldest son who's in the United States Marine Corps. Rah, devil, love ya, and I'm proud of ya. Searching for that rare Picasso or Dolly piece, still haven't found it.
Well, I must have jinxed myself because this is the only piece I bought here at the Goodwill off of Montgomery. A little disappointed. It just didn't appear that there was a whole lot in there. They had moved out a lot of the men's clothing, and it had been taken over by a lot more women's clothing. And so I was going to buy the iron and resin long sleeve button up men's shirt, but as I got to the checkout, I realized it had a small hole that they had sewn up, and they did a good job of trying to blend it in and hide it, but that shirt would have sold for about $40, but they did want a lot for it. So it's okay. I'm not too worried about it. This is what reselling is. It's up, it's down. You never know what you're going to get. So I'm going to go ahead and boogie down the road, hit a couple more stores, see what I can find. One thing I've learned about big city thrifting is that there's a lot of competition, and sometimes you just got to be happy with finding a few pieces at every stop. With more population density, that just means more resellers, and sometimes it gives me actually a tremendous amount of appreciation for the small rural area I end up working out of and coming from, because doing this in the big city, well, there's a lot more people to contend with. Just about to walk into the Goodwill off of Manal. Hopefully this store will do me better than the last. I have shopped here in the past but haven't bought a whole lot, but you never know what you might find.
Right out the gate, I'm just moseying along, caught that shield out of the corner of my eye. Be on the lookout for these men's cool stealth convertible pants are a score. It's hiking, it's gorp, it's outdoor adventure apparel. These are in good shape. They definitely need a lint roller, but I'm not afraid to slay this pair of pants. Brixton men's corduroys, these sell for right around $25. Corduroys are nice to have in the winter. I picked them up. Short sleeve hiking shirts that are pearl snap always sell a lot better than button ups, so I did pick up this Prana and I could probably sell it for around $20 to $25. And then I found this LL Bean River Driver Thermal Henley. Look for that perforated lining, then you'll know what you're on. These sell for right around $20 to $25 as well. So I did pass on this North Face Canyonlands men's zip-up jacket. Had it been a few dollars less or maybe just in a little bit better condition, I would have grabbed it, but they only sell for around $30, so I decided to skip on it. But I did pick up these Fox Racing girls motocross pants. The girls' pants won't sell as quick as the men's, but they still generally sell for right around $40, and they had that cheetah leopard back seat, so yeah, I picked them up. Paid $10 for them. I love selling vintage small Sony electronics. They just sell for me. These typically sell for $40 and they generally always work. Now this was a Sharp tape player, very cool, but the buttons were stuck, so I skipped on it. And then I thought I had a Phase 10 die set, but these were just cards, so I passed. Good friend of mine in high school used to always say that cowgirl butts drove him nuts. And so for that reason, I did pick up these Rocky Mountain high-waist jeans. I've sold the heck out of them, and I ended up finding 2 pair. Did have to pay up, but they'll generally sell for about $25-30. Be on the lookout for Topo. Great running shoe brand. I sell the heck out of these. These guys were just a little too dirty, and I hate cleaning shoes. I almost picked these up. These were cool. They were actually very clean for used, and they sell for about $40, but they were priced at $15, so they stayed there. And then this piece was cool. It was priced at like $25, but very cool vintage piece. Looks like Bob had some fun in that guy.
So that store turned out to be the most fruitful, which is odd because I've bought very little from that store over the past several years, but I did get both of these pair of Rocky jeans. Did have to pay up for these, but they're in good condition. They're very basic, just a medium and dark wash denim. Should be able to get $25 to $30 on these. They are vintage. It'll take a little while for them to sell, but I also got the LL Bean River Driver Henley, and this is usually good for about $18 to $24 depending on size and condition. Also grabbed the Brixton men's corduroy pants. Wish they were a little bit bigger, but that's okay. Corduroy sells well for me. Brixton's a great brand. I passed on the last pair of Brixtons I had found back home. They were only $7.49, so I was good with that. These will typically sell for about $25. And then these were Fox Racing motocross pants, but they are a women's size. They're in pretty good condition. The women's sizes don't sell as good, but they do have that cheetah print in the seat, so I'll put that in the description box and in the title, and might be able to get somewhere between $35 to $40 for these. And I also pulled a Prana Pearl Snap shirt, just a bread and butter find here. I like the Pearl Snaps. I love anything Pearl Snap, if it's hiking, if it's Western, if it's vintage. And so $6.49, I'll turn that into $18 to $22 probably. And then last but not least, and probably the best find of the day, was the cool Stealth zip-off convertible hiking pants. Good size, good condition. They do need a lint roller, but they're not stained up or anything. Paid $9.49, should be able to get $38 to $44 for these. And last but not least, you best believe I'd pick up this Sony voice recorder. These suckers in working condition sell for about $40, and I've had so much luck with selling old vintage Sony electronics. They're like the Honda of electronics. They just keep running. They keep going and going and going. My only downfall with electronics is sometimes I'm a little bit slow to get them cleaned up and listed, but Sony is money. Anything Sony, look it up, especially vintage. Staking out the Goodwill right outside of Juan Tabo, and this will be my 5th Goodwill in the course of 3.5 hours. So I've been hitting it fast, hitting it hard. Normally I don't move this quick, but when I do the big city thrifting, as I said earlier, I just want to cover some distance, and so sometimes I'll skip on some items or aisles that I normally wouldn't, but pleasantly pleased with what I have found so far. And while I haven't found no huge home runs, I'm glad to have found the cool Stealth zip-off convertible pants, as well as the North Face down-filled puffer, and the Sony voice recorder also will bring me some good money. Everything else is right around my average sell price, so I'm good with that, and everything else is brands that I'm comfortable selling. So as I always say, familiarize yourself with brands, find brands that work for you. Make sure you're looking up brands also, though, that you're uncertain of, and just make sure that you're curious. Curiosity sometimes leads to something that might be worth a ton, so just don't get in a hurry.
Found this Nike running hat for just a couple bucks, but upon closer inspection, had a green paint stain, so I just let it be. Nice Nike NFL apparel piece, but not a great team, so had to pass on it. This jacket was priced down for a reason, had a huge stain on the chest. Too bad, because this jacket sold it in the past. Oh well. Thought about filing a complaint with this department on the lack of items I'd found on this trip, but nobody cares. Work harder. That's what I found about life. Silver women's jeans just ain't selling for me as fast, so decided to file my walking papers and get the heck out of Dodge.
So struck out inside of that Goodwill, and that's okay. There was several items I probably could have grabbed, but they just wouldn't have turned much profit. And so I would rather hold on to my money and go for something that will boost my average sale price up. That's been my mission objective in the last couple months, is to just try to scale my business and make more money. But all things said, I'm super happy about everything I did source today. Spent about $122 on something like 14 or 15 items, and I'm good with that. I still have a little bit of a journey to make down to Roswell to see my daughter compete in her gymnastics competition tomorrow. So I'm going to be doing some thrifting probably down that way, and I might even grab a hold of a thrift store tonight and probably a couple tomorrow. So I'll probably conclude this video then. But if you've made it this far, please reach out there, hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. What's going on, friends? I safely landed in Roswell yesterday afternoon, and while there was no alien abductions, darn it, I'm still here, and that's all that matters. So we're gonna go ahead and try to squeeze in a couple thrift stores before I make it over to the gymnastics competition to see my daughter compete, because that's really what this video is about. It's about supporting my kiddos because I love them so much. But before I get all that done, I'm gonna go bust out a quick workout, get some breakfast, and then get things started. So let's go. Just that gentle reminder at 4:45 in the morning to go ahead and flex a little in life. 90% of people could care less what you got going on, and the other 10% are just glad it's not them. I do have several hours before my daughter's gymnastics meet kicks off, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to hit one or two thrift stores. Now, I have thrifted this Goodwill last year. I don't remember buying but maybe one or two things, but I'm gonna go ahead and hit it hard today, see what I can't find, and we'll go from there.
Kicked it off in the button-up section. I hate button-up shirts, but did find this bread and butter Harley Davidson piece. Look for Harley with big logo hits, embroidery, they sell. I still pick up Travis Matthews golf shorts for the right price, but they had a lot on these. $9.49 is too much to pay for shorts in the off season, so hard pass. When picking is slow, trust me when I say this, persistence is your best friend. Love selling baseball mitts. Louisville Slugger's a great brand, but this was a little beat up, and I've moved away from selling youth mitts. I like selling adult mitts. They just sell for more. Here's an example of a really great brand. These area Oxfords were way overpriced, but that's what these pricers at these thrift stores do when they know they have a brand that sells. So I had to say bye-bye. So it hasn't been the most bountiful trip, but here is where persistence, discipline, pays off. That's right. Arc'teryx women's raincoat. It's Gore-Tex, and the price, well, they went gentle on me on this one. Apparently they didn't recognize the brand, and that's often the case with Arc'teryx. It is often undervalued at thrift stores. So I'm happy as a clam. I had a grin from ear to ear. Have to do some research, but I bet this sells for like 80 to 100 bucks. Bread and butter piece, LL Bean, women's knit zip up. Nothing too special to see here, but this is cabin core, cottage core, gorp, whatever you want to call it, it'll sell. I picked up this generic camera gimbal for like $5 or $6, and just know that I have grown my business slowly by simply buying equipment at garage sales and yard sales, like clothing racks, shelves, and even some office equipment. Trust me, it's a cheap way to go. Be on the lookout for Nike all-condition gear. Some of this vintage stuff can sell for good money. These will typically sell for right around $40. They're snow pants. Did have to pay up for them, but Nike sells and this old vintage stuff is desired. I hate to turn my back on one of my business partners, but these area rebars had a hole in them and they were just priced way too high.
So absolutely stoked to pick up the Arc'teryx rain jacket. It's Gore-Tex. It's gonna make me some money, and it would definitely be probably the best grab of this whole trip. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to make it over to the Salvation Army thrift store. I'm gonna have to make that quick before I get to my daughter's gymnastics event, because that's really why I'm here. But if you have made it this far, please reach out there, hit that like button. If you're from New Mexico, you just know, and if you know, you know. All right, sitting right outside of the Salvation Army in Roswell, New Mexico. Now, I have shopped this store once before. It was around this time last year when, again, I was down here for my daughter's gymnastics competition. And if I remember right, I did come out of here with a whole bunch of stuff. The prices were pretty good. So let's hope we can replicate that. I believe this is my 7th or 8th thrift stop in the last several days, and this is probably gonna be my last one. So let's hope for the best.
Didn't find much on the men's denim rack at this stop, but I did come across probably one of the largest waist sizes of any denim jeans I've ever seen. I'm not sure what the size was on these, but look how long these bad boys are. They're longer than one of my legs. Crazy. Troll company is right up my alley, and while I don't sell a lot of t-shirts, this is one that I'm sure I can flip. This is as blue collar as it gets, and it's stylish, and that's kind of different for work utility. Once again, had to turn my back on area. I hate to do that, but this was just a boy's dress shirt, priced a little high for me for what I could sell it for, so just turned my back. But I did scoop up this Peter Millar performance polo. It is a boy's size, but it's got the skulls all over, and it does have some outside embroidery, but these are selling for about 27 to 30 bucks. 15 years of working in the medical field taught me one thing, and that is you're gonna die. So you might as well go out, do the things you want to do, live your dreams, and who cares what people think. Very cool square Pyrex casserole dish. Unfortunately, a little too beat up, and they had it priced at $7, but it's always cool to just look at things that are vintage, that are old, and it makes me appreciate the quality of things that last.
It's been a fast and furious 24 hours for me, my friends. I've drove almost 400 miles down here to Roswell, New Mexico. I've hit over 7 thrift stores and spent $170 on something like 22 to 23 items. The best item I sourced by far was the Arc'teryx Gore-Tex rain jacket, as well as the North Face down-filled puffer vest, and I should be able to sell both of those items and make back all the money I spent on sourcing goods on this trip. And so happy about what I found. One thing I love about traveling and reselling is that I can always squeeze in some work, because regardless of wherever I go, I can generally find a thrift store to go meander through. So that's it. As always, if you've made it this far, please reach out there, hit that like button. If you would, please subscribe by hitting that box above. And if you like watching full-length content where a guy like me goes out and looks for underappreciated and undervalued new and used goods, clothing, and shoes, hit that box right there.